Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gaming News, where we discuss all things within the gaming industry. And today we have a couple of different topics to cover. However, I don't have a ton of information on each of the various topics, so hopefully today's video will be a little bit shorter than normal. And I say that every time and hope that it works. And sometimes it really doesn't. So, with that said, let us get started on our topics. So, first up, we are going to talk about Activision, but not so much Activision directly. It's more like a studio that is under the umbrella of Activision Blizzard. And what I am talking about here is some information revealed by Fanbyte, which is that Treyarch vaguely gestures at workplace culture in a public statement on harassment, and of course this has been updated since the original article went out on the 21st. So the update to the article is that Miranda Dew, an associate producer at Treyarch, has posted about the statement and the Kotaku article that followed on her personal Twitter account. She clarifies that women at the studio organized to have the statement published and ask for support rather than dismissing its intent. So the whole point of this article starts from here. And that is Treyarch Studios, one of the developers under Activision Blizzard's umbrella, has released a statement vaguely gesturing at the company's larger workplace culture issues that have been on public display since earlier this year. In fact, it's been on display a little bit longer, but some people were just oblivious to the media of Activision Blizzard and some of the things that have been going on for quite some time. So the full post reads from social media that our goal as a studio is to make awesome games for the world to enjoy. Having the privilege to pursue that endeavor has made it possible because of Treyarch's people. We are a studio comprised of smart, talented, world-class creative professionals who seek to perform at our best. Our culture has no room for sexism, harassment, racism, bigotry, discrimination, or bullying. As we move forward, providing a safe, diverse, inclusive working environment so that all may thrive will be our highest priority. Everyone at Treyarch is drawn to game development because we possess a deep love for the artistry of video games and the magic that can create moments that matter. This is a moment that matters, and it starts by being better. And this, of course, was published directly on Twitter, and this comes several months after the allegations and the lawsuits have been coming forward about Activision Blizzard and about Bobby Kotick and all of his usual stunts of trying to make things look good, but in reality, he is trying to do his best not to fulfill the ideas of change in the industry, because to him, the bottom dollar is more important. And that is clearly evident from when Activision Blizzard let go of more than 800 people, and then that week ArenaNet also followed suit with a couple of hundred people let go from their jobs, as well as a few other major studios that let go of a lot of people, even when Activision Blizzard had a record year. So hopefully, Treyarch will try to make things work for them, even though they are still under the umbrella of Activision Blizzard, but that remains to be seen. I hope for the best when it comes to the studio, but I cannot say for certain whether or not it's going to be successful, and it really all boils down to what happens with that lawsuit. And we'll have to keep an eye out on more information having to do with this. Next up, I'd like to talk about Ubisoft. Now, Ubisoft, of course, has been in the news for a couple of different reasons. One, because of their also rampant sexism and harassment in the studio, but also recently has been in the news because they are embracing NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and they have called it Ubisoft Quartz. We covered this in last week's video, and it has been met with some serious backlash, which can be seen here. That Yang Yi has obviously done yet another video talking about the NFTs, and also there is another one off to the side here where Ubisoft devs slam and call out execs over shady Quartz NFT crap that they are trying to push, and a lot of people are just completely unsure whether or not this is really the future of gaming, and a lot of people are questioning the motives of Ubisoft. And of course, the whole internet, the whole gaming industry is just really not impressed, and a lot of people are moving away from studios and games that are embracing NFTs because they do not see any real value. So of course, you can go as far as to look at Twitter, where SkillUp, of course, posted Ubisoft did millions of dollars worth of irreparable brand damage so that 15 crypto nerds could shuffle around approximately $300 between themselves. So this lovely person here, Liz Edwards, talked on the 19th about how are the Ghost Recon NFTs doing, because they were looking at the third-party marketplaces where you can buy these NFTs, and there are 15 sales total. There were no new sales, and that it just does not look like it's taking off in the way that Ubisoft is expecting it to take off. And when you consider furthermore that that's not the only thing that Ubisoft is being slammed for, but also earlier in the week, a Polygon article was released saying Ubisoft is facing developer exodus according to a new report. So we start with Assassin's Creed Valhalla's maker Ubisoft is losing developers in what some employees are calling a great exodus, according to a new Axios report. Low pay, better opportunities, and frustration with the company's workplace misconduct allegations are cited as reasons for the higher attrition rate. So Axios noted that they had interviewed 12 current and former Ubisoft developers about their resignations, noting that 5 top 25 credited developers on Far Cry 6 have left the studio. 12 people out of the top 50 credited developers from Assassin's Creed Valhalla left too. But it's not just big name leads and developers. Axios said Ubisoft Canadian studios have also seen losses. 2 developers said the resignations have stalled or slowed projects at the studio. And Ubisoft, of course, is trying to keep people within the company and offered pay raises, which they really should have done, and they started to do that for people in their Canadian studio offices, attempting to stop people from leaving, and that was obviously covered by Kotaku earlier on in the year. And the Ubisoft Chief People Officer Anika Grant told Axios that the raises helped improve retention rate by 50%, with their retention rate sitting at 12%. So the raises only applied in Canadian studios, and the other Ubisoft developers are frustrated that they are not seeing the fruits of their labor as well as the Canadian studios. And so it has caused a lot of problems. And they have been facing a lot of their own allegations because, again, Kotaku did a great expose on the culture in Ubisoft studios as well, where sexism and harassment is very much normalized. And They have said that bosses constantly emphasize moving on and looking forward while ignoring complaints, concerns, and cries of their employees, one developer told Axios. And I mentioned this in a previous video where if you are denied raises, other ways of making money within your studio, if you're told to just move forward and to get tough or get out of the way type of deal, those are really warning signs that maybe you should look at other studios to be part of. There are plenty of gaming studios out there that would be happy to have people with experience in the gaming industry to actually have the gaming industry progress in a positive manner without sexism, harassment, and unequal pay between people. And the fact that Activision Blizzard has gone through all of these lawsuits and allegations has essentially put the rest of the industry on blast. And we really are seeing that other big name companies like Ubisoft need to step up and need to change, or they're going to be crushed just as much as Activision Blizzard is currently being crushed. So hopefully we can provide for a better culture in the video gaming industry, and hopefully with all of these reports that studios start to really pay attention and actually enforce change, embrace change, and actually do right by their employees, or the big giant AAA companies will have big problems and perhaps cease to exist in a lot of cases. And I don't know what happens at that point, but it will be very fascinating to see what ends up coming out at the end. So next, I actually want to talk about some really good news. And in this case, I want to talk about Hades and how it has done something that other game companies, other video games just have not been able to do, and that is to win a Hugo Award. Now, the Hugo Awards are actually quite prestigious. This started off. Apparently, according to the website, the Hugo Awards were first presented in 1953 and have been presented annually since 1955. So this was put together by the World Science Fiction Convention, or Worldcon, and the nominees are voted on by members of the convention, and they are also responsible for administering them. And this is the first time that a video game receives a Hugo Award. So let's take a look at this article by Gizmodo, which is that Hades makes history as the first video game to win a Hugo Award. So last year, Supergiant Games' Hades, the roguelike inspired by Greek mythology about Hades' son Zagreus escaping the underworld, released to near universal acclaim. If it wasn't praised for being an inviting step into the roguelike genre, it was praised for its characters and narrative. If it wasn't for that, it was for the music. You get the idea. Over a year later, and now on all the major consoles and PC, the game still has a sizable impact, and it'll surely grow again because it won a Hugo Award this weekend and is the first video game to do so. So every year, the Hugo Awards recognize the best, brightest literary works of science fiction and fantasy, and they have been branching out more and more. So for 2021, the best video game category was created after being floated around as an idea for years now, according to the website's announcement back in 2020. Of course, it likely helped that a lot of people had time to just play video games this past year, which does give light to why they're expanding possibly into more video games because of that. So Greg Kasavin, the creative director, was able to give an acceptance speech through Twitter, which he states, "We're so grateful that our work on Hades has stood out," he said, "and we hope the Hugo Awards continue to recognize the amazing work being done in the video game space." In addition to thanking the staff and their family, he gave a shout out to the Greek gods up high and down low for inspiring people like us for several thousands of years now, and may they long continue to do so. Hades had some pretty good competition to beat out. Unsurprisingly, the AAA contenders were The Last of Us Part 2, Animal Crossing's New Horizon, and Final Fantasy VII the Remake. And on the indie side, there was the beloved Afterlife management darling Spiritfarer and the fake baseball sim Blazeball. This award was created as a one-off, but hopefully it sticks around, since video games are a fairly big part of science fiction and fantasy at this point. Which is not wrong. It has been touted for a long time within the writing spaces that narratively there are a number of video games that can receive awards for their amazing storytelling alongside novels, etc. And the fact that they've branched out into comic book spaces and now hopefully into more video gaming spaces, we will start to see more and more amazing games hopefully getting nominated for Hugos, because that is a very prestigious award to win. And I am incredibly excited that Hades is the first ever to get it, because it has been so critically acclaimed that I'm not surprised that they would be the first to get a Hugo Award. On the next topic of good things that I would like to cover in this episode, I want to talk a little bit about Critical Role. This is a very sort of short and sweet post, but I am incredibly over the moon for this because, as you may know, Critical Role decided they would put together an animated short of The Legend of Vox Machina, which was campaign 1, and where people, critters all over the world would be able to finally see the beginning stories of some of the characters, because they only started Twitch streaming their campaign halfway through campaign 1. So even though it was streamed for at least a year, they had been playing together for a year prior to that, where we didn't really know how some of these characters started out. And they raised so much money in their Kickstarter in 24 hours. They were asking for a mere $200,000, I believe it was, and they careened into the millions of dollars raised within a very short period of time, and they decided to expand a one-episode short into a full-fledged series that would be launching on Amazon Prime. So, what we have learned is that the Critical Role animated series will premiere earlier than expected. So, The Legend of Vox Machina, the Critical Role animated series, will premiere 1 week earlier than expected and is going to premiere on January 28th of 2022. The series had previously been set for February 4th release date on Amazon's Prime Video. The announcement is accompanied by a new clip from the series, which is embedded above, and you can take a look at the Polygon article in the links below. But they obviously made more than $11 million on that Kickstarter, and they have been working with Titmouse to get all of this done and the creative vision, and there are a bunch of videos on YouTube that cover a little bit of the behind the scenes and working on The Legend of Vox Vox Machina, the whole series, and what that experience has been like. So definitely go check that out as well. But Critical Role has a number of other items in the pipeline for their fans, in addition to being just a few months into the launch of Campaign 3, which has been great fun. A newly revised campaign book is on the way. Taldore Campaign Setting Reborn is a self-published title and comes out on January 18th. There's also an officially licensed Dungeons & Dragons book published by Wizards of the Coast titled Critical Role: Call of the Netherdeep. That will be available online and in stores March 15th of 2022. And of course, it's no surprise that it's going to be approximately $50 for that campaign book. And I am over the moon that Critical Role has been doing so well. I am a critter. I watch every Thursday, and I am just very excited. It really brings new life into the tabletop role-playing genre and showing that anybody from all walks of life can enjoy tabletop gaming and role-playing no matter what happens, no matter what the circumstances, and still have fun. And I wanted to bring light to this because it's exciting that we get that animated series a little bit earlier, so it's kind of like a slightly late Christmas gift, which I'm really excited about. And I can't wait to watch that on Amazon Prime when it comes out February. It's going to be so good. The final thing that I would like to cover today is Destiny 2. And again, I'm bringing some good things right before Christmas. This is an article published by Kotaku from a couple of days ago where they decided to feature a streamer who plays Destiny 2 pretty well exclusively and is just a fun community to sort of be part of and to just vibe with. So, Twitch streamer drops bars and kicks ass in Destiny 2. And this is talking about Amaze, who is just a fantastic player, fantastic person. He's a dad, he's definitely a family man, and just one of the most chill people on Twitch in the Destiny 2 community. And I suppose it was high time that someone was going to write about his story in an article, and so this is the piece where it takes tremendous amounts of multitasking skills to stream video games while staying engaged with viewers. But this Twitch streamer is so smooth with it, he can freestyle rap while playing Destiny 2. And they talk a bit about himself and his rapping and how he started when he was, in grade school and he wasn't the most popular kid. And the article continues to talk about during his last year of middle school, Hutchins came into his own and added freestyle rapping to his repertoire. And by high school, he got serious about chasing his dreams of becoming a rapper. But he had to put it on hold to make ends meet. He worked 2 jobs, one as a part-time sales associate at a men's warehouse and another at UPS, where he currently works as a part-time driver. It was at UPS where he met a coworker who reignited his passion for spitting verses. I remember it like yesterday. We used to drop raps at work, literally just rapping the whole day away. We would come up with hooks and do all of these things together. And so he and his friend got to recording tracks and performing for crowds. He again had to put his dream on hold because of the arrival of his son. So he started streaming in 2015 and decided to go back into rapping, and it reignited his passion for that. So if you happen to be on the receiving end of a Sunseeker class in Destiny 2's Warlock with an Ace of Spades hand cannon or Frozen Orbit sniper rifle, hopefully you aren't on the opposite end of Hutchins' kill feed during one of his freestyles. Hutchins says he enters a zen-like state whenever he freestyles, to the point where he takes in all that he's observing in the game and his bars just flow out of him. And what's interesting about this is I have watched him stream while he's in Crucible and just murdering people while he's freestyling like it's nothing. Like, this guy is so good. Anyways, he drives to uplift others, and that comes from his late grandmother and his father, who is currently battling cancer. Hutchins feels that by gaining prominence through streaming, he'll be better able to not only motivate and lift up other people, like his father and grandmother did for him, but set a good example for his son. He encourages his followers to chase their dreams and to look at his story as an example for how they can achieve their own. When he can, Hutchins makes sure to give back to the Black community with any leftover revenue he makes from his streams. Just recently, he sent $250 to a member of his chat who's been struggling during the pandemic. And he continues to talk about, like, this not being all smooth and easy, that he has been met with hate raids and racism and criticism, and no matter how much positivity is out there, there are always going to be people trying to take you down. And he states, anytime you're doing good, someone always wants to come in and slow you all the way down, he said. I tell everybody that I will work my ass off to make sure that my mental state is in order first. It's not an easy road, especially for a person of my color. When you become known for doing one thing, it's easy to be pigeonholed into that box for the rest of your career. But Hutchins hopes to eventually take his streaming full-time and pivot towards incorporating more motivational speeches into his streams. If I can do this full-time, you bet your butt off I'm going for motivational speeches, he said. And you might be able to catch some freestyles. And that just goes to show you that even with all of the negativity that's out there, even with all of the gaming news that continues to bring things down, there are good people out there that stream to Twitch who are successful, who are just free-loving, genuinely good people out there that I believe people should pay a lot more attention to, because they are fantastic representation of how you can bring a community together by doing something as awesome as rapping. We have seen the same thing with StarCraft 2 and with my friend Tempo, who also has done a lot of parody songs that are StarCraft based, using the backdrop of other music that's out there. And he gained a lot of popularity with his music, so it stands to reason that people who can freestyle and do these really cool things and still bring a positive mentality to the gaming industry is really something that we need more of lately. And I wanted to highlight that because I felt like this was such a good article and an amazing streamer to showcase. And this is great right before Christmas, in my opinion. So with that, thank you so much for being part of the Patreon. I do these videos every week. I don't know if I'm going to have a gaming news video next week. It depends entirely on how things go. So I'm going to temporarily say we might not have something for next week, but I will be definitely back in the new year with more content to kick things off. And I've got some great plans for some Let's Plays and for a couple of surprise videos that I'm going to release very soon. And I appreciate all of your patronage. If you've been here since the beginning, you are legendary. And if there's anything I can do, let me know, because I appreciate every single one of you. And otherwise, thank you so much. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, happy everything. Please be safe, get your booster shot, and I will see you in the next video.